Hi there. I just wanted to hop on and give this video thing a try because the thing I want to explain today is probably best explained in person rather than in text. In my last newsletter, I was talking about the importance of getting in touch with the body and the nervous system before attempting to write. And there are a lot of different ways that you can go about this. I have kind of a library of those that I share with clients as I'm working with them. But the simplest one is simply just connecting with the breath before you begin to write. So I want to show you this really simple technique, and then I'll explain after I show you that technique a little bit about why it works. So it's simply a breath where you take 2 short breaths in. And then you exhale for twice as long as it took you to inhale. So through pursed lips. So the breath in would be and the way that I like to count this out for my brain is to do 1, 2, 1, 2 on the breath in, and then on my exhale to count out 8. I'll tell you why this works first and then talk about some little additions or add-ons that you can do. What happens when we sit down to write and we start to feel stressed is that cortisol starts to be produced in the brain. And what I've learned is that cortisol actually stops the right brain and the left brain from talking to each other. And that's a really necessary activity for creative work. So what breath does is when you bring oxygen into the brain, it helps reduce the cortisol levels, and the 2 sides of your brain can then talk to each other as they need to for you to do the work that you want to do. So how many rounds of that kind of breath should you do? Between 10 and 20. And the reason for that is that you get more benefits the longer that you do it. If you do this for 10 rounds, you're going to notice that you start to feel a lot better in your brain and your body. And if you do it for 20 rounds, you're going to start to feel a lot better. Now, I know that the first thing that's going to come up with some of y'all is that this is, oh my God, this is a waste of time, or this is not very efficient. If I only have an hour to write, why am I going to waste the first 5 minutes or so of my writing session devoting that time to breathing? And I thought very similarly. But what I've found over the years is that actually a writing session where I haven't prepared my brain and my body to write, and I just go straight into it trying to be as efficient as possible, actually does not go very well. I actually tend to be like kind of headachy, kind of anxious. The sentences that come out, they come out very slowly, and I'm criticizing them the whole time. If I do take a few minutes at the beginning of a writing session to get into my breath, to get into my body, the next 55 minutes goes much more smoothly, and I produce a lot more words. So I am a big believer in it being worth the investment to do this work at the beginning of a writing session. However, I also know that if you have high levels of anxiety, as I do, or maybe you have ADHD, you have a racing mind consistently, it can be very difficult to just focus on the breath. So I like to add in a little body movement as well. I don't know what that does for me. Maybe it's a little bit of a distraction, or maybe it helps me get into my body even more and become more centered. So if you want to stay indoors in your office while you are doing this, a really easy way to add some movement is on the breath in to go, and then bring your hands like that on the way down. And if you do about 10 that way and you want to mix it up, you can reverse directions and bring the arms up. And on the exhale, bring the arms down. So this is very calming. This has kind of a Qigong kind of feel to it. I also like to do this while walking. So, if it wasn't 100 degrees outside right now, I would probably do this. I would go for a walk, and I would start timing my breath to match up with my footsteps. So 2 breaths in, 2 counts in, 2 counts in, 8 counts out, and that would match up with my footsteps. And I found that that is a very calming way to get into my body, so that when I actually do sit down to write, that I am ready to do that. This is only one of the strategies that you can use to get into your brain and your body before you write. For this week, I'm curious to see what happens for you if you try. Remember, you need to do 10 or 20 rounds. We got the 2 short breaths in, And then a long breath out through pursed lips. Trying that 10 or 20 times can really reset the way that your writing session goes afterwards.